there was a sit down that Trump and Musk did with Sean Hannity. And, got to give Sean Hannity some credit. I mean, he used to talk to Trump every day. You remember in the first Trump administration, he was a de facto presidential advisor. Got to give him some credit for sitting down with these guys for as long as he did and never getting a question and an answer that was in any way particularly notable. It was like sitting there watching a coffee clatch, you know what I mean? Like two people just getting together and shooting the breeze. And they clearly had an agenda, which was to show that there's a united front between Donald Trump and Elon Musk. That was one of the things that was clearly very important. This guy is my guy, and this guy is my president, and they really wanted to communicate that. And so they did. So in the middle of this maelstrom of dismantling government, there is this interview that goes down. Albert, this also is one of the few clips we'll play for you. We will give you a little bit of a sense of it. But again, don't look for any news to be broken here. Go ahead, Albert.
I got to start with this. So he's working for free with Doge. He's kind of put a lot of his life on hold. And you sued Twitter a number of years ago. You just made him pay you $10 million?
That's right. Stop for 1 second. We'll start this again. I promise I won't interrupt it. He's not working for free. He is one of the top government contractors in the world. He has more business with the U.S. government, maybe than any other single individual on earth. Now you've given him, as I said, the keys to the car. He's going in to various government agencies that are concerned with everything. I mean, there's no place he's not going. He started at USAID and has gone to Treasury. He's gone to the IRS. He's going to the Pentagon. He is a contractor in many of these different places. The FAA. I mean, these are all, there's a lot of personal connection that Elon Musk has to all of these different agencies. He not only can influence policy because of his closeness, and he's a de facto co-president, but he's able to, by going into all of these programs and dismantling them, very much affect his own world of being a contractor for the U.S. government. So this idea somehow, like, he gave up everything to be here. He's making nothing. He's getting no salary. It's the same thing they say about Trump. His salary? What are you kidding? We're talking about billions of dollars that this guy can scoop up. Not to mention power. There's a whole other aspect of this that's related to Musk's desire for power. It's got nothing to do with money. I mean, we're all thinking, because we're all little ones. Even Sean Hannity with his $30 million a year that he makes. Dude, that's a rounding error to Elon Musk, $30 million a year. So you're thinking, giving up the salary. I mean, he's the richest man in the world. He's not concerned with salary. He's got his eyes on much bigger things. Now, play the clip again. I promise I won't interrupt.
I've got to start with this. So he's working for free with Doge. He's kind of put a lot of his life on hold. And you sued Twitter a number of years ago. You just made him pay you $10 million?
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
Well,
That's right.
I sued from long before he had it.
Yeah.
And I mean, they really did a number on me, and I sued, and they had to pay, they paid $10 million settlement.
You're okay with that?
I mean, I left it up to the lawyers and the team running Twitter. So I said, you guys do what you think is the right, it makes sense.
I think it's funny.
I think it's a very low, I was looking to get much more money than that.
So you gave him a discount when the lawsuit.
He got a big discount. I don't think he even knows about it.
He's become one of your, if you read and believe the media, he's become one of your best friends. He's working for free for you.
Well, I love the president. I just want to be clear about that.
I don't care about that.
I know. I love the president.
You love the president.
I think President Trump is a good man, and he's, It's
nice the way he said that. There's something nice about it.
It really is. Because I mean, the president's been so unfairly attacked in the media. It's really outrageous. And I've at this point spent a lot of time with the president, and not once have I seen him do something that was mean or cruel or wrong. Not once.
You know, I've known him for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anybody take as much as he's taken.
Yeah.
And we've discussed this, and I'm like, how do you deal with it?
Did I have a choice?
Well, you would say that to me. I'm like, what am I going to do? Worry about it? And, you know, and then culminating in 2 assassination attempts, which resulted in your endorsement.
Well, I was going to do it anyway, but that was
it.
Precipitating event. Yeah.
That speeded it up
Yeah.
a little bit?
Yeah.
The day of the
I
assassination.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
This is like watching a going away party. You know, the going away party, everybody gets up and goes, let me tell you, when I first met this man, I didn't know, but now I've watched him for all these years and I've seen he's never done anything bad. Really? He's never done anything bad? Read a paper. I don't know where to begin. I'm tripping over things that he's done that are bad. On my way to other things that are, and it also depends, I guess, what you mean by bad. I mean, clearly your level is a little bit different than mine. I mean, I think the kind of pay to play of the first administration, the first Trump administration, or the one with all the guardrails, it was fully corrupt. It was corrupt from the way they drained the Secret Service of all its funds in the first year. They're doing the same thing now with these various trips to Trump properties, ways to line his pockets. That's kind of low-end stuff, to making backdoor deals, which were made by Trump family members during the Trump administration. I mean, this is straight up corruption. But what you were seeing there with Sean Hannity, that's what they do. Hannity lavishes praise onto Trump and onto Musk now with you're working for free and gosh, I know people are trying to drive a wedge between you two, and you get no real substantive responses. That was just, it's the whole thing is a big wet kiss. It's bizarre. We'll do more a little bit with Mo Kelly when he comes up, just to talk about what's happening. But I did want to get to one substantive thing as it relates to Trump, and then I want to get to Zelensky and what's happening in Ukraine quickly, because that information that's coming there, if you're getting it from the same source like Hannity, Fox News Channel, it's quite different than what you're hearing from any other media outlet that might be a bit more objective. I'll get to that in a second, but I did want to share this with you. President Trump signed yesterday a sweeping executive order bringing independent agencies under the control of the White House. This is shocking because it will really expand the power of the presidency. It represents Trump's latest attempt to consolidate power beyond boundaries other presidents have observed and to test the so-called unitary executive theory, which states that the president has the sole authority over the executive branch. And it reflects the influence of Russell Vought, who people are well familiar with if you've watched this show at all. That's Trump's budget chief. He's one of the several conservatives in his orbit, and he's the guy who's calling for axing these independent arms of the executive branch. The power should rest with the executive, is the feeling of Vought. He's a Project 2025 author. This has been considered a fringe theory. Many mainstream legal scholars, as is noted here, still believe it is illegal. It's illegal to take over all those independent agencies. They were proscribed as staying independent. Congress set those agencies up specifically to act independently or semi-independently from the President of the United States. So this is the FCC, the FTC, the SEC. They all enact regulations that can impose or not impose hefty fines on businesses that violate the rules. I mean, you're talking about the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, that, for example, exercises a lot of regulation when it comes to Wall Street. So you see how this has really opened the door for corruption. And these are agencies that are deliberately independent. And now they have been taken over by a president who is informed by people like Russ Vought, who runs Office of Management and Budget. And I talked before on this show about how important OMB is in the dispersal of funds. I mean, Vought can really throw sand into the gears if he wants to. And he has a very clear vision of how a powerful president should be taking that power. And this is another example of that. So the idea somehow that the only supervision of these independent organizations is the president, and the president now has a sweeping control of yet another group of regulatory agencies, I think it's scary. Scary.
The Mark Thompson Show.
We'll talk more about it with John Rothman and with Mo Kelly in just a few minutes. Meantime, in Ukraine, nothing good is happening. This was a proxy war for sure, okay? This Ukraine-Russia conflict was a proxy war for the U.S. It was that way under the Biden administration. Tons of money was shoved that way, and the idea was to repel Russia. There were restrictions on that money. They also, as you know, this entire conflict was birthed during a time that the argument was being made, well, NATO expansion and the fear that Ukraine would be in NATO gave Putin the right to invade Ukraine. I was hearing that a lot. I was hearing it even from the left. And there's always an excuse for an invasion like this. But this is a sovereign nation, and certain security guarantees were made to Ukraine in the 90s. And those security guarantees are not being upheld. Here's what's happening today in Ukraine. Go ahead, Albert, please.
Right. President Trump angering Ukraine and European allies, falsely saying that Ukraine started this war when, as you say, it was in fact Russia. Without evidence, he also claimed it could have been settled easily without the loss of so many lives and so much land. Almost at the same time as he was speaking, Russia was again bombing, this time the city of Odessa, targeting energy plants and a children's hospital, leaving about 250,000 people without power amid freezing conditions here. Trump also claiming that President Zelensky's approval ratings are just 4%, without offering any evidence. Zelensky, speaking just a moment ago, rebutting this, now pointing to polls suggesting they are in fact well over 50%, suggesting that actually the numbers used by President Trump are Kremlin propaganda. Putin, of course, remember, wants to replace Zelensky with a pro-Russian puppet. Ukraine insisting it needs real security guarantees to prevent another war here. Many, though, are seething with anger after Trump's remarks and that war meeting between Russian and American officials, to which, of course, Ukraine wasn't invited. This morning, the administration's special envoy, General Kellogg, arriving in Kyiv for what looks set to be tough talks. George?
And it's really hard to overstate how stunning this blaming Ukraine for the invasion is.
Yeah, really. I mean, it's shocked many people. Actually, President Zelensky was very cool and calm about it this morning. But we're seeing, I think, in a much broader sense, a shifting sense of alliances, this post-Cold War order, which we all kind of took for granted, where America was closely allied with Europe, would stand against Russia, doesn't seem to be there anymore. George?
Sure.
I mean, it's a seismic change. It's not, the shift is like it's a truly titanic, different policy in America now and our disposition toward Ukraine. No question about it. We'll talk to Rothman about that in a moment. I did want to give you one other little morsel.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I have RFK Jr. news. I've got a bunch of stuff. By the way, you saw that they've closed the Kennedy Library, just apropos of RFK Jr. And apropos is a ding word. The Kennedy Library was closed because the probationary workers, as they're called, they're the newer hires, they were all dismissed, and there's no way to keep the library open. I'm waiting and anticipating what will happen at the Obama Library. I'm sure that is also going to be a desirable target for this administration. But there is such a meat cleaver quality to the way that they are taking down all these government agencies. It's unreal. Due to the executive order, the JFK Library will be closed until further notice, is the notice on the door there that Albert is sharing with you. And that is just one of the, I'd even suggest sort of ancillary aspects of all of these cuts. Donald Trump, our Lord and Savior, has already spent $10.7 million of taxpayer money to do what? If you guessed play golf, give yourself some points. Just his golfing outings since retaking the White House last month are costing American taxpayers close to $11 million. I guess this has gotten away from the Department of Government Efficiency. Yeah, this doesn't seem like a very fiscally efficient way to proceed. The golf-related expenses, which are likely to recur most weekends while Trump is in office, as is noted here, have somehow flown below the radar of Elon Musk and his high IQ team. Even as they point out 5- and 6-figure contracts and grants as wasteful, I mean, again, they are pointing out these contracts that are in the tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, the golf trips are costing millions of dollars every weekend. And a senior White House official would not respond to queries around this, directed questions about Doge, which Trump created, of course, by executive order on his first day in office, to the White House press office. You're calling the wrong office, basically. You really want some answers? Call the White House press office. There's been a golf trip out of 4 weekends since Trump came back to the presidency on January 20th. How many of those weekends, out of the 4, has Donald Trump played golf? Anyone? How many of the 4 weekends that Donald Trump has been president has he played golf? If you guessed all 4, give yourself points. That's right. He has now played golf at his own properties on 9 of his first 30 days in office. It is clear, said the watchdog group Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, CREW as they're called, it's clear that when the Trump administration considers the definition of corruption and wasteful spending, it doesn't count spending that ends up in the president's pockets. By visiting his for-profit businesses roughly a third of the days that he's been in office, Trump is doing what? Directing government spending to follow him there and profit off that trip. It's an extraordinary thing that becomes an ongoing grift. It's a low-end grift compared to some of the other stuff that's going on. But again, it's almost $11 million. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.